Welcome, everyone, and happy Halloween. It is us, Mr. Sahidi and
Tom Cruise here,
Tom
hidden behind the mask.
Cruise. Yep, absolutely. And this is Well, That's Horrific, the podcast. Thank you all for being here. It is Halloween, the best day of the year, I would say, at least for me. I am very excited to bring you a special episode here. Originally though, I just want to comment and say that, Tommy and I were thinking about doing Halloween Ends versus Halloween Kills, but Tommy chickened out last second because he knew that I was kind of going to own him on it. So he's like,
He's gonna make me take off my mask, isn't he? No, I don't want to debate that movie because I've moved on to another argument. My new argument is Halloween Resurrection is better than Halloween Kills. That's my new argument. If we want to do Halloween Resurrection versus Halloween Kills, I will explain to you why Halloween Resurrection is better than Halloween Kills.
I think that is okay. Insane.
Bro, Halloween Kills is
lost my train of
bad
thought
movie.
by such a crazy statement. Nah, I don't know, man. I really don't know. But anyway, happy Halloween. Hope everybody is, dressed up in their costumes and getting ready to either give out candy or go trick-or-treating or watch a scary movie or whatever it is that you do on Halloween. I hope you have a great, special, spooky Halloween. We are going to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's today, a movie that's making a lot of noise, breaking records. Insane. I mean, for me, I know that I not played this phone app game, whatever you want to call it, before. Oh, and he takes off the mask. Yeah, mask's gonna be a little bit,
Yeah. I'm gonna
No, you're good.
suffocate myself in there.
But Mr. Tom Cruise, as I was saying, I've never touched this before. I've never even, obviously it's so well known, it's so popular to the point that people like me that haven't played this game or don't know about, what Five Nights at Freddy's is even about, has at least some type of knowledge to it. So I think that's huge in itself. Now to see Blumhouse kind of take that, make a movie and break, it is opening weekend, and they have already surpassed $130 million.
Yes. I mean, that just goes to show you how powerful, the audience of any given, popular product, like the FNAF games. Again, they are, 6, 7 games in now. My girlfriend's cousin is obsessed with that game, and it definitely has an audience. It's you capture the popularity of something like that, and you put it into a movie. You already have a built-in audience. Not only are you getting people who, just are wanting to watch a scary movie, but now you're getting the people who, are hardcore, actual Five Nights at Freddy fans.
So, I didn't even know that we're 7 games in, 7 games in.
Yeah.
I am not aware, and this is not me being, I guess ignorant to the idea of what you call it, FNAF. Is that what you said?
FNAF, yes. FNAF.
Yeah, it just goes to show, this is actually pretty interesting too, that you can look at this film and have a perspective of somebody, again, in my shoes, that doesn't know anything about it. They just know it's a name out there.
Yes, but I wish we had a third perspective here. And maybe if we find somebody, we will. But I say this because I've played a little bit. I feel like you've barely played. So
I've not played, no.
Yeah, or you're coming from an outside perspective. I've played a little bit. I knew very little of the lore, but I knew some of the lore coming into the game. So I knew some of the things. However, I would like to know what a real Five Nights at Freddy's fan would think about this. Because I think, spoiler alert, but I think that's who this movie caters for or tries to cater to. That's one of those things where, keep in mind, again, I played a little bit of the game. He barely played the game. So this is where we're coming. We're judging it as a movie.
Right.
Not as a hardcore fan.
So the thing about this is that... that's great that you mentioned that. I have not played the game. You have some people, have. I think, from my understanding, I think that this, not that it targets, little kids, but I feel like a lot of kids play this more than anyone. Am I incorrect to say something like this?
So are you asking if a lot of kids play Five Nights at Freddy's, or if you're saying if the target audience for this movie?
The target audience. I know a lot of kids play it, but the target audience is not kids.
So that's where I'm not sure, really, right? The plot doesn't seem like it's not like the Megan plot. Even this is more so if anything, you think a kid would understand the whole thing about him losing his brother and all that, and
right.
I don't know. But the movie is PG-13. The
Right.
movie is PG-13.
Yeah. The movie is PG-13. You're right. So, like, again, I don't know if it's our targeting kids, but I think that, so many kids play this game. And I've said this to you before. The hype, for any movie like Megan or, Five Nights at Freddy's or Super Mario, for instance, or anything like this that have kids involved just breaks records. I think that's just like a automatic success to that formula. Like, I think about it this way. Like, if there's like, for instance, a Fortnite movie. Let's say a Fortnite movie's coming out and like whatever, that's gonna blow up. Like, just because kids go watch it.
So here's the thing: is the audience for FNAF is probably also teenagers, or in terms of like the people who play the game, right?
94% of people who went to go see this film were at the age under 35. They were under 35.
Yeah, but that 35 is a huge range. But wait, so what I'm saying is, I think teenagers would be mostly. I get what you're saying, kids, but I think it's actually going to fall more under teens. But I don't. I understand your argument, but I think I'm not saying that I disagree with it, but I think the reason this movie's selling is not because it's a kids movie. It's because it already had a fan base. So I don't. You're saying it's because of a kids movie. I'm not saying it's because of that. I'm saying it had a huge fan base, which may have happened to be kids. Right. But I don't think it's because necessarily it targets kids. I think it's because it had. I think the movie. Again, we'll get to what we think about the movie, but I think the movie could have been dog shit, and it was gonna sell good because it was FNAF. Like, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if it was for adults. The moment you saw Five Nights at Freddy's, everybody was going to go watch it because it was a popular game. It already had an audience.
Right. That's I think I agree with you with that aspect, but I also do think that because it is PG-13, that says a lot too. Like, who I guess the target audience was. I could be wrong here. I know it is popular. I remember in my days where I would go on the App Store and see that the top paid app was Five Nights at Freddy's. And I'm talking about the original one. I'm not even talking about the 2, 3, 4s. I'm not even talking about that. So obviously the popularity is there. That's no question. But I also do think that, a lot of these kids who play these games, anything game related, anything game related, to me, my mind goes to kids. And when the kids, go to theaters, I'm just like, damn, that's a success because
but it's also a scary game, right? And I think what really made it popular too was streaming and stuff. Of course, when the first FNAF came out. So I don't know. Of course,
yeah. I mean,
let's get into the movie because we don't want to talk too much about it without actually talking about it.
Of course. I think it's just important to state that, like, so far, the buzz, the hype, the whatever you want to call it, the numbers speak for itself so far. It's doing really, really well. It's insane. We got Five Nights at Freddy's. We have a cast of Josh Hutcherson, who I know very well, especially, from the Hunger Games era. Piper Rubio, who plays Abby, not too really familiar with her, as well as Elizabeth Lale. She plays Vanessa in the film, not really too crazy. I know she plays in You. I have not seen You, the Netflix show. But we got my man Matthew Lillard. I am so happy to see him here. The reason why I say I'm happy to see him here is because when I saw the trailer initially in theaters, I told you that I was like, like, it looks kind of boring. I don't know what this is. But just seeing him there for like a little 10-second clip, I think it was that it showed him, if that, I was like, my guy. So it's cool to see him there. Pretty decent cast, I would say. Just to point out real quick, it has a thermometer, whatever you want to call it, 29%, and an audience score of 89%. So, as always, people, spoiler warning, without, it goes without saying, we're going to go ahead and talk about the film. Tommy, I'm going to give it to you, man. Tell me what you think. What are your thoughts here? Like, are the numbers what they say they are? Also, I want to point out, obviously, this was released on Peacock 2. So this is interesting to me,
bro. I can hit all these topics right now. I got you.
Do it.
I'm ready.
Take it away.
So first thing, you didn't mention the director, so I'm gonna make sure I give credit where
credit's
due.
Yes, I did not mention.
Director Emma Tommy.
Yep.
I hope I'm pronouncing that. I'm probably not. I'm going to read the synopsis just for the sake of reading the synopsis here. We know what it is. Troubled security guard begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. During his first night on the job, he realizes that a night shift won't be as easy to get through. Pretty soon, he will unveil what actually happened at Freddy's. So it's a mystery at this pizzeria. At least that's what the plot synopsis gives you. If you don't, if you haven't played the game, that's what you have. I do want to touch on something that you mentioned, the trailer. Just to kind of touch on something you mentioned, you didn't think the movie looked good. I didn't. You thought it was. I kind of had the same idea, and then when I found out it was actually PG-13, I got less inclined. Right. Same as you. I saw Matthew Lillard. That was my That was my saving grace. I saw him, and I was like, okay. There might be a good chance that it's going to be exciting. Anytime he's on the screen, I'm excited. Okay. With that being said, let's get into the movie. So. This movie has an hour and 49 minutes of runtime.
Yep.
Yes, 1 hour and 49 minutes. So it is a bit of it's on the longer end. I do like that it actually had a intro scene, a title scene.
Yes.
I didn't know if we were going to get that, especially with it being PG-13. I didn't know how they were going to tackle the story in terms of like the elements that I knew. So watching this as a person who's slightly played the game and knows a little bit of the lore, it was interesting to catch things here and there. Now, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is I think this movie catered to its audience in terms of like the people who played the game, which is good. It's good because every now and again we get these video game movies and they suck. We can give unlimited examples. I wasn't a big fan of the Resident Evil series for like all the differences that were from the game to the movie, but it happens all the time. We know this.
Okay.
In this particular instance, they do the opposite. They cater to the audience. They even had a couple YouTubers that played little cameo roles in the movie. Did you know that?
Yeah, my brother told me that when he saw the taxi driver, right?
The taxi driver was one. I didn't know about that one. I actually found out about that one after the fact. However, because like I mentioned, my girlfriend's little brother's obsessed with Five Nights at Freddy's, I have been exposed to a couple things here and there. And one of them is the Film Theory channel on YouTube. He has like a long series of videos targeting like the story behind Five Nights at Freddy's. So there's a scene in the diner where you hear the guy talk and he mentions, I think lunch is the most important meal of the day.
Oh,
he's like, I thought it was breakfast. Yeah, he says like, I thought it was breakfast. He's like, no, that's just a theory. That is a reference to his channel. His channel is Film Theory.
I was not aware
That's
of
why
this.
he says theory. But his voice is very distinct. So the moment I heard it, I knew. But that's one of those things where like they're even getting people who basically have made the game popular to participate in the movie. So, like, that's an example of them kind of catering to the people who, the fans. Mm-hmm. But even, the design on the animatronics, what the story is. We get introduced, like you mentioned, to John Hutcherson's character, Mike, and his sister, Abby. Now, before I continue, what did you think about their performance in this movie?
I thought Josh Hutcherson was great. I really do. I think the character that he was trying to portray, he kind of delivered. Abby, obviously she's a little bit young. I'll give her a little bit of a pass. But obviously you could tell that she was acting and whatever.
Yeah,
no, I think Josh Hutcherson was good at it, man. He definitely.
Josh Hutcherson is Josh Hutcherson. We weren't expecting anything bad from him, but I do agree the little girl sometimes it was like here or there.
Yeah.
There was this weird scene. You also mentioned Elizabeth Leo, who plays Vanessa. There was this scene with Vanessa. I think the second time that they meet outside, it just looked off. Did you catch that, or was that just me?
Because I saw this film with my wife. When we saw Vanessa's character in general, I would say the first two or three scenes, we were just questioning her. Like her role and her character and why she was there. We were trying to. I think she's one of those characters. Like immediately, you were just like something's up,
So actually, I'm sorry. I know that I said this, but I actually meant visually. Because yes, I do agree. The character itself, she's presented in a way that there's something behind her.
Right.
But there was actually a scene when they're talking outside somewhere that I felt like her character looked strange.
By the river, when he's explaining his story about his brother and all that stuff. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if it was CGI or what. It was like she looked. It looked like maybe it wasn't the same actress for a second.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. It's possible. I don't recall, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah, there was a scene there where it felt like it was either CGI, maybe they couldn't get her, they got somebody else and they put the face on it. I don't know, but it was strange for a second. Just wanted to note that. But just to touch on what you said, yes, they did a great job with Vanessa from the beginning of kind of like her introduction was seemingly random. She just shows up one night, and then her knowing some of the details and probing for more information, you could immediately tell, like, okay, she's sus. Right, and in a mystery, you need self characters.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, so far I think you've been, knocking it all down. I do want to point out that, I don't know the story in the game. I've said this before. And the thing about this is opening weekend, so obviously I'm going to do a lot of more of my research after the fact because I want to know. I'm inquisitive like that. So right now, I know that the game is about somebody who like works at night and the animatronics, I guess they scare him or whatever. But this story about his brother, I'm betting that this wasn't in the game, right? I'm sure that this movie is a lot more story driven as opposed to the game, right? So for me, you mentioned the runtime of 1 hour and 9 minutes. That's, I think, pretty, complimentary of what the story was trying to be. I think like a lot of it was story. I thought that like in the beginning, not that it was slow. It's not that it was slow, but it was a lot more of foreshadowing, I would say. A lot of foreshadowing. Him sleeping, the nature of Nebraska, why he's there. Is it his sister or his daughter? Obviously, because you have to question it a little bit in the beginning. Why the babysitter's not getting paid. A lot of these things are coming together, for like one scene at the end. So I don't know if that works in its favor or it doesn't. I'm still trying to figure that out. Me personally, I like that. I didn't mind it as much, but I didn't expect this story to be so story driven. And then you come to realize maybe it has to be because the trailer that we saw, again, was really about nothing. Not that it was about nothing, but there wasn't really much to give. So it's like, I think that was one of the challenges of this film is how can we do more than the game? What can we do to make this movie successful?
And the nice thing that they did there is they managed to keep the story without messing the canon of the game. So, like, the game, like, everything could be still 100% accurate. It just so happens that we have this character named Mike. It's like he falls into a story arc that still makes the game make sense. I think his sister is, from my understanding, she is like based on a character in the game. I don't know. I think it's like another animatronic. I'm not entirely sure. But honestly, all I knew from the game. Spoiler alert, I mean, we're already talking about it, but all I knew from the game was that the animatronics were dead children.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. And I think that was hard for me to also grasp at the end, and I'll explain it a little bit more when you're done over here.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were dead children, and I had heard the name, what is it, William Afton, or whatever his name is. I had heard that name before. But besides that, I didn't really know any of the other lore. I knew enough to know that the lore is actually very complicated. So believe it or not, these games are usually like 1 or 2 screens, but the lore that you get throughout all the games, maybe via like documents or stuff that you find, is like really long. Like, for example, this is not a spoiler or anything because we don't know what's going to happen in the next movie if there is another movie. But for example, I know that. One of the games is called. I want to know one of the games is called Sister Location, implying that there's another Freddy Fazbear's that's like somewhere else, sort of thing, and that would be another door. But I say this to say that the story is actually pretty complicated, believe it or not, on the games. This is basically what you get in this game is like they did a good job of showing you like 10% of the game. It's like John Wick, where you like. The first movie seems like a lot, but then you go to the second movie and there's like a whole other city behind it. It's that sort of thing. So like, I think they do a good job there.
Yeah, I think Josh Hutcherson's character is a little bit interesting. I love the fact that we never really get his last name, only a little bit of a glimpse of it when Matthew Lillard's character Steve, he's like looking at his file and he kind of starts to read his last name and then kind of freezes up on it after realizing who he is. That itself again was a foreshadow, but. I think the story's interesting. It's good. Again, it's an addition to the game, whatever you want to call it. I think the animatronics were sick. You know what it is? I think the
animatronics look a lot like they do in the game, though. That they're literally like one-to-one designs.
So I don't know that I'm going to do a lot of my research after the fact, but I think for me, the animatronics, when seeing them on screen, it's crazy because it's like it looked smooth. You know, animatronics are supposed to be a little bit like boxy and whatnot, and you definitely did get that. But like when these characters were like these bears or whatever you want to call them, when they're on screen, it's like, oh shit, like you actually are a little bit like scared because this movie did have some suspense to it. I thought it was a little like cool, but like the animatronics, I just thought it was interesting. I really did think it was interesting. It's been a while since we've seen animatronics in movies like that. I think of Chucky, but even with Chucky, they use like a midget. So it's like with this, it's like whoa, like it like it's smooth. Obviously, it's a lot of it's computerized. I mean, it's not hard to like what you call it. It's not hard to tell, but seeing them, especially Chica, is that named Chica, the yellow one?
Yeah, one of them.
When you see it sometimes in the rooms holding the cupcake, I was like, this looks clean. It looks good. You know, it definitely does work, and it doesn't kind of take away from the animatronic movement. So I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job with the animatronics. But like to get to my thoughts on the movie itself, I just thought that I didn't know what they were gonna do with the story. And then going into the story, I felt like they didn't do enough with the animatronics and to make me think like, oh, you know, it's a scary movie about. Like I get it, they weren't the bad guys, and that was part of the reveal. But like the whole thing of like Abby playing with the animatronics and like I felt like it was building up, and then it just kind of like went nowhere, and then it built up again. It was like there was almost two climaxes in this movie. But you get to the point where like the animatronics have just killed a whole bunch of people, and if it's like the games, right? Maybe I'm comparing it to the games, where like every night is supposed to get more intense, and he's sleeping, and you think something is happening. He even wakes up with cuts, but then the next day nothing happens, or he ends. Even when he discovers them, then they're nice to him because he's with Abby, and I just feel like it could have been more scary. Like it could have been an actual scary movie. Like they could have done more with the animatronics, but I get it. They weren't the main bad guy, but I want to know how they're gonna do that moving forward because yes, they're dead children, but they're terrible. Like these are bad children. They're not like they continue to kill, and I hope that this continues that way if they're gonna keep on making FNAF games. But to me, that was one of the things that was like it could have been better. To me, it was just blatantly obvious that this movie wasn't like they didn't know what they wanted to put the story. They just wanted to cater to their fans. They were like, "Hey, this targets,
the fans."
Yeah,
right?
They were like, "This is for you guys. We're just gonna do a whole bunch of cameos and build the story behind it." But yeah, I think because of that, for me, I didn't really enjoy the movie much. The ending was weird. I mean, the reveal, great. I like it. It was obvious, or you could see it coming from a mile away. Thought that looked cool, but in terms of like, I guess the overall pacing of the movie, I just didn't. It wasn't for me. It felt boring.
Yeah, I think. I would say that you mentioned the animatronics going like two climaxes. You said, I get that. I definitely get that. Obviously, me not playing the game again. Like I think for me, the way it was very story driven, and I thought the dream to it, was a little bit, heavy, and which is fine. I think at the end it did work. Somehow it came together, which is fine. The animatronics, you're right. Like it was a lot more in the shadows, and then when those people come in to break in, and then they kill them and all that stuff, which is that big moment there. And then I think for me, that scene where he does get cut up a couple of times in his dream, Mike, when he gets cut up a couple of times, then that's where it's like, okay, it just led just to that, right? So I get what you mean. It felt like it was a little bit of a drag, but I gotta say though, coming from my end and not really understanding the game like that, for me, I think it works. I'll be honest with you. I think it works a little bit. I don't think I was bored. I would say it was just a little bit, dragged on, but I wouldn't say it was bored for me. I'm just being honest. So for me, I don't know. I thought they really try to make this thing, again, to the fans, cater the fans, which is great. But I think it's interesting to go into this movie with a different perspective. I really, really do. And for me, it worked. And then let's talk about like the final scene. We're going to talk about obviously the big reveal, Matthew Lillard auditioning for Scream 7 over here. So we're going to talk about his performance and what that kind of meant. Me personally, I'm just gonna give you a quick, comment here. I think Matthew Lillard was great, but I think that scene was very short. I think that's what kind of killed it for me because they dragged the story, and then at the end, it's like a quick scene, a quick whatever. He dies pretty fast, or whatever the case is.
My man was paid by the minute.
Yeah,
they said I'm gonna give you 3 minutes of airtime.
Insane. And then also, like, I wish there was a little bit more emphasis on the explanation of the kids being there and how, like, he kind of fooled them. I would like to know the how. How did he manipulate them? What happened? How did he kill them? I would love to see a flashback or something. I just felt like it was story. Boom. Take this scene, call it a day.
They can always save it for the next one or whatever, but I do agree with you. I think it took way too long to get to that point, and then it just lasted like 5 minutes, and then he was gone. I do think that it's hilarious that we've been waiting for him to come back to Scream for the last 20 years, and then he finally comes back in a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and he's just a killer there.
Yeah, but again, he wasn't
how disappointing are we in a year where he could have come back as Stu and been Ghostface? He came back as William whatever, as the rabbit or whatever you want to call it, the bunny, the yellow bunny.
Because even the kid said in this dream, like, we can show you, and we never got shown. You know what I'm saying? That's like, shit. I wish we were shown.
Did you understand the whole thing with the drawing? Because at that point I was kind of over it with the movie.
Yeah, because from my take on it, these were kids that were killed by this guy inside the animatronics, right? And then their ghosts or spirits, whatever, kind of powers it. So that's what I got. They're kind of like brainwashed by him. But what they do know is from the drawing. So when they see the drawings, they see the yellow William Bunny, whatever you want to call him, holding the kids, they look at him as his master. So like they follow the drawings. So then when she took it down and then put her, picture there of the bunny killing the kids.
It's what I figured, but it wasn't. I thought it was going to be something more elaborate. I thought it was more.
But that's what I'm saying. I wish there was a little bit more of an explanation, a little bit more of a.
So you're telling me that it had the same ending as Insidious? It's just Insidious.
You got to just paint the door. I mean, if you look at it that way, I really can't argue it. I really can't. I think it is pretty much similar. Interesting. It's just very interesting. For me, the numbers in this I think it blows my mind. Like, I'm happy for Josh Hutcherson. I'm happy for.
Oh, you happy that? I think guys. I texted Mr. S and I said, did you see how much money the movie's making? And what was my response? Said the next movie is gonna bomb.
Yeah,
I say that. You know why? Because I think it sold a lot of movies now because it had a lot of fans. But I think a lot of people are not gonna like this movie and are not gonna go watch the next one.
Well, my take on that. If you're a fan, you pull through no matter what. But to me, I think it's crazy. The numbers in itself are crazy, but I just think it's crazy that it was released on Peacock.
That's the crazy part. However, that is the same. To touch on that point, I think they released it on Peacock because they didn't think it was gonna do good. Because if they thought it was gonna do good, all the movies that have been going straight to the streaming service like that fast, is because the studio has no faith in them. Look at fucking Halloween Kills. They put that shit on Peacock. They said, this movie's fucking bad. I'm not going to, it has to come out at the same time. Bro, all those movies that come out at the same time like that, I'm telling you, that's because the studio has no faith. That's the same reason that the embargo doesn't go up to like the day before either. They don't let you release reviews in advance because they know what they're talking about. They know what they're selling you.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Again, I really don't think this movie was bad at all. I mean, like, bad like that, I would say.
I don't think it's bad.
I enjoyed it.
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying it wasn't good.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because my perspective is a little bit different than yours, but I was for it. It was cool. Worth 130 million? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm telling you that right now. It broke Halloween's record, and I don't think that's possible.
Love to know what our fans think about this, guys. Please post in the comments. I'm really interested because we're divided on this. Everybody that I know that has seen it didn't like it. Yeah. You seem to have liked it. My girlfriend was like falling asleep through it.
Yeah, like it. I'm not saying it was great. I'm not saying I was on the edge of my seat, but I did like it. I thought it was, it was interesting story. Interesting story. I'll say that much. I think more than anything, I was interested to see how they would pull it off.
Yeah.
And that's what it was for me. So.
Well, let's see. I still think, if they make another one, they still have a chance to redeem themselves. Of course, but it might not do as well because they already, if people didn't like this one, they're not gonna want to pay for the next one. My final rating on the movie is 6 out of 10. That's okay. That's okay.
I'm gonna say 7. I'll give it a 7. I'll give this film a 7. Again, that I have not played the games. I just know that they exist. I would like to, play them after the fact. So I just saw the movie as a movie. So that's my rating. But that's Five Nights at Freddy's. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. Let us know what you think about it. We're gonna go ahead and move on here.
Please, I want to touch base on this movie again. So let us know what you think. I want to see what everybody else thinks.
We absolutely will. And is there something else you want to talk about?
Yes,
Mr. Tom Cruise.
Yes. I was actually really excited, but I don't know how they're gonna do this one. But announced yesterday, They Follow.
Yeah.
Directed by David Robert Mitchell, the sequel to It Follows.
Yep.
I was a big fan of this movie. This movie has like a 90-something%, like a 99 or something crazy. I remember at the time it had a crazy high score. I really liked the first one from 2014, and I'm excited that they're making another one.
Yeah, It Follows was a great, interesting film. I think the concept of it was very interesting. I think that's what people were really talking about it a lot because they've never seen a horror movie like that. It's always great when there's an innovative approach to horror. So that was interesting. It was scary though. It was scary. I'll give you that. So to
same
see
director,
They Follow,
so I'm excited.
same director. So like I love when someone when they take ownership in that. So we're expecting good things. We don't know anything as of yet. Just that little teaser there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this can be. Speaking of teasers, you actually notified me of this. Terrifier 3 on November 3rd will be, I guess, teasing. Was it a poster?
No, it's on November 1st. Only in theaters there will be a Terrifier 3 teaser.
Yes.
But I wonder. With that being said, November 1st. What's in the movies November 1st?
November 1st is a Wednesday. I know November 3rd is a Friday. So
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if they're just maybe beginning November 1st, but yeah. So essentially, they're gonna start teasing Terrifier 3. Terrifier 2 had a lot of success. We know this gore is gonna make its comeback, and you're saying this time it's going to be a Christmas movie?
Correct. It is actually
interesting.
The poster leaked, and it really reminds me of. You ever had Garbage Pail Kids?
Had what?
Like the cards, the Garbage Pail Kids cards. There were like these gruesome cards, and the art style of the Terrifier 3 poster that leaked is very reminds me of a Garbage Pail Kids. So it's Art the Clown with the Santa Claus hat holding an axe over a Christmas tree. And he has somebody's face as a necklace, or Santa Claus's face as a necklace.
Whoa! Look at that. That's insane. That's insane. Okay, so, I'm with it. I'm definitely with it. I want to see how that pans out. It's gonna be very gory, very disgusting. So. And
Christmas, man, I think they're smart for doing that. I wonder when.
Yeah, because you can't make it always Halloween.
Yeah, but I wonder when it's coming out.
Franchise. It's probably gonna come out early next year.
You think so? It won't come out like during the actual holiday season. I mean, at this pace, right?
That would be stupid. Then it would be really stupid to tease it over a year, in advance. Like I think that'd be sick.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, it's not like they don't need to. They could drop it at any time. They have a hardcore fan base.
I mean, that's true. But I guess we'll see. I guess we'll find out.
Speaking of Terrifier 2 returns to theaters Wednesday. That's what it is. So I think that's when it starts.
Oh, so they're going to tease it. So people are going to go to see Terrifier 2 again just to see the teaser.
Exactly.
And the teaser, is going to be at the end of the film. It's not going to be before.
At this point, yeah, because then people would just walk out.
Interesting. Okay, cool. I like it. Speaking of holidays, November is upon us. So we have obviously the fall to Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving, the movie, the horror slasher film Thanksgiving, I've seen it a lot more in ads and streaming services, whatever the case may be. And for some reason, I have no idea why, I'm very hooked on this. I'm very, attached to this film already. It's a slasher mystery, a formula that I really, enjoy. I'm interested to see.
We both really enjoy that formula. That formula is just really good.
Yeah, it really is because it gets you on your feet.
It keeps you on your toes and it makes you want to keep on watching the movie. So
yeah,
I'm very excited to that movie. When is the actual release date? Is it like Black Friday?
20 something. I will definitely fact check that. November 17th. So Eli Roth is releasing it November 17th.
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay.
So that should be
So
good,
the week
right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, cool. I like that. Anything else you want to add on while we're here?
I'm trying to see if there was anything else that I'm missing. I think you already touched on the Terrifier stuff. There was something else. I forgot what it was, but give me a second and I'll see if I can catch up on it.
No problem. I was actually going to ask you about your haunted house experience.
Yes, I can touch on that while I was there. So I went to 2 different haunted houses actually in the last week 2 weeks really. So shout out to Warehouse 31, and the other one was Aatrox Factory. Very, very different. Of the 2, I would say that I much preferred Aatrox. Not to say that Warehouse 31 was bad. It was just different. It was just different. They did a thing with smell. Like, it just stinked in the entire thing. And I don't know if you needed to add that. You don't need to add the weird smell to scare me sort of thing. But Aatrox Factory was actually really, really, really good. So, like, in terms of the animatronics, the way they scared you, and when we got there, we didn't know that they could touch you. So I've never actually done the ones that they touch you.
Interesting.
I've never done it. My girlfriend's always been like, no, but this time we were like a group of 10 people, and we didn't know that by default they touch you. So like you go in there and the first thing somebody just comes and like tickles your throat and I'm like,
okay, I'm definitely interested. I'm definitely interested to see this.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was pretty scary, and it was like 30 minutes long. So like, I think it's definitely worth what it costs. It was like $30, maybe $35, but it's like $1 a minute in terms of the actual length. 30 minutes is a long time for a haunted house.
Yeah, that doesn't sound bad at all. That sounds actually great. I would like to, experience that one day. For us, this weekend we went to give me a second. Friday we went to Pure Terrace Screen Park. I know I went there last year, but this year I went again. For people who haven't been there, I was interested to see their experience. It was nice. We had a good time. The line was a lot shorter, but the thing was, it is the weekend before Halloween, so a lot of people decided to go. It got a little bit too much, so it was like actually an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's
I would say
crazy.
Just to get in, and then the whole experience itself is an hour because you're walking through 13 houses. The experience was great. I think they go all out. Everything about it is great. It looks like they really invested a lot of money into it. I would say the feedback to them is, when it gets congested, there has to be a better way to kind of manage that, because when it gets congested, you're supposed to walk alone, through the houses, and like all the animatronics kind of reset, the actors there, they kind of reset in position to kind of scare you. But when you run into people who went before you, the surprise is kind of spoiled, so you don't really feel it as much.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's my feedback for them.
That's actually something that I'm a big fan of, where in terms of like, I like to lead, or everybody likes for me to lead, because I don't really get scared, so they always like, you go first. Because I don't know, I guess they're hoping I get scared, or I don't know, or so that I'm in the front, I guess, and they're behind me, they can hide or whatever. But I'm always walking slow because of that reason. If I see that there's like people close by, I will purposely walk slower because I don't want to catch up to them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to ruin the experience for myself or anybody else behind me.
Yeah.
I would rather, even give the actor some time, so that if they just scared the person that was at the end, they can scare me again, and it's not like immediately right after. So
I think I see what you're saying, but the downside with that is that if you're walking a little bit slow, the people behind you are kind of being held up too. So it's like,
I know.
Yeah, there has to be a system that works.
100%. I mean, in a perfect scenario, you give more space between each set of people. But again, in New York or in that area, there's so many different people that there's so much people that it's inevitable. I was lucky enough to not have to deal with that, but I'm with you. But honestly, Pure Scare Theme Park will forever be one of the most unique experiences that I ever had. Thank you for putting me on. I went last year, and listen, we'll all forever have that story, because what is it? You said 13 haunted houses back to back. I don't think anything is like that. Nothing.
It's definitely nice. Like the people I went with really enjoyed it. They were surprised of how much they invested into it. Like, it was really, really good. And my only recommendation is do not go the weekend of Halloween. Try to go much earlier if you possibly can. I think it's a little bit less congested. So I think that's my best advice. So, yeah. And then Saturday we went to freaking Fright Fest, Six Flags. insane. You like insane. Took forever to get inside. Parking, traffic, just absolutely insane.
Fright Fest, I've had mixed experiences with, to the point where I've stopped really going because sometimes it's just like,
dude, you have to know when to go. Like last year, I went early October. I went on a Friday. Nobody was there. I'm going on ride after ride. I'm having a good time, enjoying it. Saturday, like we were there, like, you know, we had a good time because, you know, it's all about the people you're with and like what you're doing. And we went on a couple of things, some shows. There was an acrobatic show, which was crazy, but like we couldn't go on much rides because it was so packed. It was insane. Like at midnight, we left around almost midnight. I think it was 11 something, and people were still there. It was just insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta give Fright Fest another chance. I feel like I've had mixed experiences, so I'm not inclined to go there.
Come through. We'll go again. Come through.
You go every year. I went.
You got to. It's Halloween.
I know. I had gone like a couple years ago. Maybe not last year, but the year before that, I think I went, and I think the year before that I also went. But it's been hit or miss. So like I haven't been really inclined to do that. I prefer to do like I did a haunted ghost tour. I did that. That was pretty interesting too, when you get to learn more about the city you live in and stuff like that. And I like you mentioned you went to Salem. Like I like to do Salem. Those are the ones that I really enjoy. I'll do consistently. But for me, Six Flags has just been too much of a hit or miss.
Yeah, I understand. It's all about, you know, the experience you've had. But it's Halloween, people. It's Halloween. You're listening to this on Halloween. Tell us what you like to do during this time. What is the best way to spend Halloween? And, you know, we would love to hear it and kind of experience it on our own. I don't have much else to say, Tommy. I know these people probably want to go and give out candy. You got people ringing on the doorbells.
Trick or treat.
So trick or treat, absolutely. If you can, if possible, I don't know if people are going to do this. If you have great costumes, we would love, you know, for you to DM them to us. And I promise you, we will share them with you. Like, we will share them with everybody. Just let us know what your costumes are.
Well, yeah, for sure. And if you haven't already checked out Mr. S's costume, please do. It is pretty awesome.
I'm going to post it. I have to.
That mask is absolutely insane. I won't spoil it, but he'll post it, and you got to take a look.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, by the time you listen to this right now, it will probably be up. So go check out Instagram right now. But yeah.
With that being said, please follow us on all social media platforms: Twitter at That Terrific, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch at Well That's Terrific. Because if you don't,
well, that's horrific. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, guys.